Steps Museum is a 3-story stone and timber arts and crafts style cabin. It was built by John Edward Vandersloot between 1908 and 1912. Vandersloot was an eccentric, a lawyer serving as a referee in bankruptcy proceedings held under York County, Pennsylvania's court system. This earned him the title, purely honorary, of Judge Vandersloot. However, his interests away from his profession were unique for a man living only 30 years after Custer's Little Bighorn fight. He held an exceptionally strong interest in Native American peoples. In 1907, on a business trip to Lower Chanceford Township, Vandersloot stumbled across a little frame river house along the Susquehanna. He became so smitten with this 38-acre property that he bought it, and soon began the process of transforming it into his vision of a place to celebrate and examine the Native American way of life. What Vandersloot built on this property would become the Indian Steps Cabin, a building that would later transform into Indian Steps Museum. The main portion of Vandersloot's cabin, a large living room and fireplace, was constructed in 1908. Following this was the Kiva Room, an attached circular vault built to mimic circular below-ground Hopi prayer chambers. These segments were constructed using stones from the 1835 canal running along the Susquehanna. Later, a 3-ton, 12-foot-long stone table and benches were installed. These were cut from a Lancaster County quarry and floated across the Susquehanna. According to legend, many of the native artifacts in Vandersloot's collection came from his first flower garden at Indian Steps. The Susquehanna River Valley was a 10,000-year-old travel corridor, so it was rife with artifacts, many discovered prior to the construction of 4 hydroelectric dams built on the lower river after 1910. Seeking a way to preserve and display this blossoming collection, Vandersloot decided to embed them into the masonry walls, foundation, and stairways at Indian Steps. The result is a series of pictographs, fashioned from arrowheads, spear points, axe heads, and fishing net weights in the shape of birds, animals, reptiles, and other designs. Embedded here are 10,000 of Vandersloot's artifacts, perhaps not in the way we would preserve such things today, but certainly ahead of that time's interests. During Vandersloot's lifetime, Indian Steps became a hub of activity. In 1914, for example, 14 Chippewas honored Vandersloot with a pipe ceremony and dance and gave Vandersloot his Chippewa name, Nawimishota, meaning middle of the plain. He was later adopted by the Lakota. Eventually, the property came under ownership of Pennsylvania Power and Light. In 1956, they presented a 9.5-acre tract of Vandersloot's Indian Steps property to the Conservation Society for $1 plus an annual payment of a single sprig of holly. The American holly on the grounds of Indian Steps, at over 65 feet, remains one of the largest hollies in the world. It was a single sprig when the Susquehannocks dominated the lower Susquehanna during the 1630s, and a mere sapling when the Pilgrims landed 350 years ago. From this symbol of life and beauty, a small branch is taken each year in token payment for the lease of the site. Surrounding the front door of Indian Steps is the message Vandersloot sought to impart to other generations. I entreat all who pass this way to safely guard and preserve these former possessions of and monuments to an ancient Indian people.